Hi everyone, Steve here.
Today I'm joined by Andy.
Good to have you.
Thank you for the invitation, Steve. And it is good to see you again.
Hi everyone, Steve here from RSM. Welcome to another one of our coffee conversation segments, and great that you can join us. Today I'm very excited. I'm joined by one of my very new partners, or newest partner in the business here at RSM in Brisbane, Nick Webb. So Nick, welcome. Great to have you on board. And as I said sort of at the start, this is all about having a chat over a coffee. So of course the starting point is what is your drink of choice? Well, maybe what is your coffee of choice, because it's early in the morning. Well, in the morning, so coffee.
Coffee of choice is Packs a Punch, this one. So it's a double shot piccolo to get started this Friday.
Oh, very nice. Should get you started very well. And oat milk latte for me. I've moved from dairy into oat and find it tasty and healthy as well, apparently. And from our friends at the Hideout coffee shop just downstairs in our building. So Nick, again, really great to have you on board. Great to have you on board in the firm, and really good that you could join me and have a little bit of a chat and tell everyone out there about who Nick Webb is. And probably as a starting point, you know, maybe who is that man? Who is Nick Webb? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Who is that man? Well, Nick Webb is born and raised in Brisbane, so always been here. This is sort of home ground for me. Always grew up on the western suburbs, still live there to this day. And I guess from a career point of view, I've always been in financial services. So hop, skip and a jump up the road is where I did all of my tertiary study at QUT. Mm-hmm. Progressed through there and found my way into the professional world in financial services, or, you know, most people will know that as financial planning or financial advice. So that was sort of the foray into financial services. And for the past sort of 12 years, I have been running a self-licensed boutique financial planning business. And you know, the only thing that made me jump across from that was joining yourself and the rest of the team at RSM, because it was such a good opportunity for me. But, you know, most importantly, I felt like it was a good opportunity for my existing clientele as well. So, yeah, I think, you know, ultimately I had, you know, my formal years through that business were very hands-on. So it was sort of, you know, thrown in the deep end, start swimming. Otherwise, you're going to get into a bit of trouble there.
And tell me a little bit about, I guess, the business, because, you know, financial planning, financial services, obviously it's been around for a long time. There's a lot of changes in the regulatory environment that we've seen over the last few years. I think certainly from a reputational perspective of the industry, it's been through a bit of a patch. It's kind of come out the other side. And, you know, we at RSM, of course, have had a financial services business over quite a number of years, a very successful business, but keen to get from you just in terms of the I guess the current landscape, I guess your background in terms of more around what you've seen in terms of how the industry is changing, where it is at the moment and kind of where it's going as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a very transitory period at the moment. I guess, you know, from a pure numbers perspective, since 2018, the amount of advisors available within Australia has actually contracted by close to 40%. Wow. So back in 2018, there were 28,000 practitioners in the country. And as of today in 2022, we're down to 17,000. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of that is born from the regulatory measures that you suggested. So, you know, there's a lot of advisors out there, rightly or wrongly, huge amount of experience, and essentially a line was drawn in the sand that said by 2026 they needed to have certain tertiary qualifications, which involved, you know, some people in their 50s and 60s going back into university and having to do some studies. So I think that was a catalyst for quite a few practitioners to exit from the industry. So we've fallen into this situation where we've got increased levels of demand and we've got a reduced amount of supply with regard to those that can provide the services. Mm-hmm. So it's, it's a very interesting time. There's, continued liaison with the regulatory bodies around I guess, finding that happy medium between, serving the client, protecting the client, but also, having that commercial element so that people can run a business and people can provide services. Because all that those two conflicting factors have done has increased the cost of advice and made it less accessible for a lot of people that do need advice.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. I'm really keen to, one of the when we first started this series, as I mentioned earlier, it was all around, the living in a pandemic world. We're kind of still there. And so we've still got plenty of challenges that we're dealing with. I guess there's a whole lot of other economic challenges that we're dealing with now as well, in terms of inflation, interest rates, those sorts of things that I'd guess would have a significant impact on your part of the business and in terms of your clients. What could you tell me a little bit about some of the challenges that you've had to deal with through the pandemic and probably now we're in a new phase of the economy and looking forward? What sort of challenges have you had to deal with over the last, I guess, couple of years?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think I think the main item that stems through the period has definitely been uncertainty. And, that's not necessarily uncertainty just solely related to investment markets or economic factors, but uncertainty for people around, what may happen with their health, what may happen with their employment, because there's just been so many moving parts to the equation. I think, as a business owner previously, the big difficulties and uncertainties through the initial COVID period were, I guess, navigating that working from home arrangement. Likewise with clients, you're dealing with people's money. They really like the face-to-face, and as do I, because you build that rapport, you build that trust. So learning to stare into a camera, talk to someone and try and engage like you would if we're sitting like we are today over a telephone call or a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting, that's a challenge. But one that's obviously in time brought about a lot of opportunity, allowing people to work from home, allowing clients to, feel comfortable liaising over video call or over telephone without the need to come into the office physically. And then I guess, especially in times like now, over the course of the year thus far, there has been a lot of uncertainty around, navigating the economic headwinds. So, most people will have a mortgage, everyone will have a vehicle, so they're feeling the pain when they fill the car up, they're feeling the pain when they go to the grocery store. And then at the same time, they're feeling the pain of volatility in the share market, which of course most people's investments are linked to. So, for people like myself and the team, we sit there as a bit of a sounding board for our clients. So we can, really put their mind at ease, discuss what's happening in the wider market, what's happening in the world, and what that means for them with their own financial position.
Okay, that's great. It's a good segue. You use the word opportunity, and it's one of the things that we focus on a little bit in these discussions, because we've had certainly plenty of challenges, and the ones you've touched on are probably not dissimilar to the challenges that we have as well as a professional services firm, more generally. But in terms of opportunities, and perhaps not just in relation to what's sort of come out of the COVID and the pandemic side of things, but if you look forward now with your financial services hat on and you look at where the market is, and I know you don't have a crystal ball, I don't think you do, I haven't seen it in your office yet, maybe it's there, I've just missed it, but what are the opportunities that you see going forward, and the opportunities that have probably come out of that, adversity in terms of the environment that we've been in?
Yeah, I think one opportunity that's really stood out to me through the period is, I don't know if it was because people were stuck at home with not much to do and there were a few government handouts floating around as well, but I have found that a lot of clientele that previously hadn't invested themselves have dipped the toe in the water. And, that was a different experience in 2021 compared to 2022. I think that's a healthy process to go through so people can understand that it's not as easy as just throwing darts at a board. Not everything's going to be a winner. So, you actually have to understand what you're investing in, why you're investing in that, and what the objective, what the outcome is. So, I've found it really helpful liaising with clients that are more attuned to investment markets just from doing it themselves. And that's been really helpful for them to get an understanding of the ebbs and flows of investment markets. You know, obviously in the current year we're down, you know, the market's down both domestically and internationally as a result of, you know, inflationary headwinds, conflict in Ukraine, you know, some of the supply chain issues as well. And I think, you know, as history repeats itself, from times like these, there are typically a good rebound that we see in listed asset markets. As you said, I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did, because it would be very beneficial for many reasons. But, you know, like ultimately for me, I think there is always opportunity out there. It's just knowing where to look and how to do that.
That's great, and great to finish up on a positive note. Nick, thanks so much, and look, fantastic to have you on board as one of my partners, as a partner here in RS in Brisbane. It's really good to have you in the team. Thank you, everyone, again for joining us, and take care and look forward to the next one.